Welcome to another episode of Women Who Work. Work is defined as someone who does something individually and to an excellent capacity, and today we have another great woman by the name of Alice DeGeorge, who is the owner and head graphic designer of Presque Isle Printing Services. After several years of working in the print industry, she noticed that there were some key gaps in customer needs and they were not being met. Namely, small or startup companies and customers had not been able to have their small printing jobs that they needed done quickly and efficiently and also economically. Hence the beginning of Presque Isle Printing. We are so glad to welcome today Alice DeGeorge to the set.
Thanks
Welcome,
for having
Alice.
me.
Thank you so much for coming. Can you tell us how you got started, where you're from, just a little bit about yourself?
I'm originally from Quincy, Illinois, and I moved to Erie in '95. In December of '95, my family moved out here, and just kind of had some random jobs here and there. I started my company in 2008 in December after losing a couple jobs in the print industry. And I just really loved being in the print industry, and when I did lose my job, I just decided to open up my own business and kind of keep up with my customers. I was really worried about what they would do, being that they were pretty much going to Staples or Kinko's and not really getting good service. So I just wanted to follow up with that with my own business. So it's pretty exciting. I love it.
Great. How did you discover your talent for design and graphic design and just printing services in general?
I come from a family of artists, and so I always have art in my life. And it wasn't until I went to school for website design and management that I realized that I really liked doing the graphic design part of it, making banner ads and editing photos. And so I kind of just, through the school, they had found me a job at a print shop in town that had just started, and that's kind of what sparked everything. I just really loved the creativity of it, the fast-pacedness of it, seeing my work out in Erie, which is really cool to see what you've designed hanging up somewhere. So it just kind of flourished from doing website design into graphic design, and I just kind of took off with it. It just kind of merged what I already was doing with art into the computer side of it. So it just kind of fell into place.
That's great. And you mentioned about seeing your work out in Erie, which is how I heard about you. I actually use Alice for my printing needs, and she designed our logo for King Event Management, which is my personal company, special events company. And so it was seeing her work out and having a person refer me, another client of yours. And that was how we came to Alice, and I liked her tagline. She has a tagline that says, "Go ask Alice." Where did that come from?
It's funny, one of our radio reps, Guy Sheldon, he said, he came in one day and he said, "I got your perfect tagline." And I said, "Oh, you do?" And he said, "Yeah, every time someone wants some printing," I said, "Well, go ask my friend Alice." And he's like, "I think your tagline should be Go Ask Alice." And it's kind of funny because it has a secondary meaning of a song, and it's one of I really like that song. It's just kind of neat how when most people say, "Well, where do I go and get this printed?" or "Who do I call for this?" and most people say, "Well, just go ask my friend Alice over at Presque Isle Printing." So it just kind of flowed in its own little way.
That's great how that worked out, because I love to send people to her because she does turn it around. Well, 2 years in a row, 2014 and 2015, you were selected as Erie's Choice for printing. What does that mean to you? Can you tell us a little about that award for people who aren't familiar with that?
It's the Erie Times puts out the Erie's Choice Awards, and it's for businesses in the community that I think are doing it right. And so for us to win it 2 years in a row, it kind of just reaffirms that we're on the right path, that we're treating people right, and we're doing great things in Erie. So our customers vote for us, or vote for whoever they are for Erie's Choice. There's multiple businesses, multiple categories, I should say, and so to win it twice in a row is just amazing. But it just reaffirms that we're on the right path and doing great things in Erie.
Great. And when you talk about we, can you tell us a little bit about your staff who works with you and helps make everything that you do happen daily?
Yes, I have 2 full-time employees. One is actually a graduate of Edinboro University, and the other one was from Clarion. Coming in right off of school, they had a lot of the skills that were taught in the school, and they've kind of merged into the print industry. It's very fast-paced, so the girls are always hopping from one job to another. They're able to transition. If there's an emergency print job that comes in, they are really great in stopping what they're doing and taking care of the customer at that moment. They have great graphic design skills, and then we do a lot of the bindering in-house, so that we do the cutting of the cards, folding a brochure, brochures, perfing a ticket. So that was something that was brand new to them when they came into the business, and so they've really taken that ball and run with it, and are able to really turn jobs around fast and really get the customer satisfaction out there. So it's awesome having the extra girls in there.
Great. And since this is a women-fueled and themed show, it's great to know that you have women working with you and making it be great at what you're doing. But we're going to keep talking about that as it's Women's History Month. It's kicking off March. But we're going to come back after a quick break, and we're going to talk about women's entrepreneurship, what that means, especially you being a women entrepreneur, and just some of the great things that Alice has done in the community. So we'll be back.
Before NAMI, I did not have many support systems. I felt very alone. Through NAMI, I earned a support system, I earned advocacy, I earned an organization that I could refer others to and advocate for mental illness with. And through NAMI, I feel that I can help stamp out stigma.
NAMI of Erie County. Find help, find hope. To compete for a championship in stadiums full with cheering fans and families. To give back, to say thank you for your support, to learn, grow, and prepare for the future. Ask any NCAA student athlete what they want, and this is what they'll tell you. Ask these student athletes, and they'll say with pride, I chose Division II.
The NCAA Division II Student Athlete Experience goes beyond the classrooms and playing fields. It means a commitment to service and community, helping organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation by raising money to help grant the wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions. Kids like Jacob.
Some student athletes gave of their time and their energy to raise the money.
It was fun to meet Jeff Gordon.
NCAA Division II, training student athletes for lifelong achievement.
We're back with Alice DeGeorge, the head graphic designer and owner of Presque Isle Printing. Since it's Women's History Month, I wanted to talk about just some of the entrepreneurship of women and the building of it. And so we're going to switch gears a little bit. We got some background on her business and how she started. But now we're going to talk about just business ownership for our female leadership and how some of our women who are looking to break into the business can do that and get some advice from a woman who's doing it, who's working it, and doing it really well here in the Erie area. Alice, can you tell us, starting a business is not an easy feat. There's some ups and downs and challenges you have to go through. What are some tips that you can give, some advice that you would tell someone, particularly a woman that is looking to start a business?
From my own experience, I think just keep moving forward. After I found out that I was losing my job, I had 6 weeks from the time that they told me to the time that I actually was going to lose it. And so I was kind of on fire. Like I just thought, I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do. And so I worked day and night on that plan. And, if I hit a wall, I kind of just went around it and found another path. So I think the biggest thing is just keep moving forward in what you believe in and what you want to do, and ask for help. There's plenty of people out there, myself now, that help out businesses, and so you don't really need to stumble. Ask for ask questions. Ask people that are in the business. When I started, for a simple thing like where do I get credit card processor? So I called a couple of my other friends that own businesses and said, who do you have for this? Do you like them? What are the benefits? So for me, it was, I just started out and, I had a great tax person that really helped me set up my EIN number, which I had no idea about. I always say I'm the baker that bakes the bread. I knew nothing about business. I had no idea about inventory or where to get certain things. And so I just made a lot of phone calls and asked for a lot of advice. But I worked tirelessly until, I was able to open. So just keep moving forward.
Great, that's great advice. Forbes magazine recently published an article back in January of this year that talked about the force being with women entrepreneurship in this year. And so one of the reasons they said that was that women are more adept than their male counterparts in seeing gaps in the market and seizing that opportunity. And that's one of the things that you attribute to your success. And that was really according to the 2015 Kaufman Index startup activity. Can you speak to that, and also how that really attributed to Presque Isle Printing's success and even your future goals for what you want to do in your industry?
I think for myself, I saw from working at the other print shops the gap from good customer service, being able to talk to the same person when you need to have an emergency print job or something comes up, or just have questions. I think that I don't want to say women in general, but more nurturing and wanting to help people. And so that was my biggest goal, was to help people that needed it, versus just going to Staples and not knowing who you're going to talk to if they have your best interest in mind. For me, that was my core of opening, was seeing that it was a, like you say, a gap that needed to be filled, versus, there was a lot of small businesses that just were not getting the help that they needed. Whether, I would say probably 20% of our phone calls are people just calling and asking me, who do you recommend for this? Or what do you think about this idea? So a lot of what we do is just helping people get to where they want to go. Look good on print, look good professionally when when they're nervous like I was when I started. It just gives me great joy to help them go out and feel confident when they're starting their business or having an event. It's just a really good feeling to do that.
And you keep bringing up good customer service. Can you define what that means?
Well, I guess it attributes, I always say in my former life, I was a waitress and I worked in retail. And so all those experiences helped me work with different types of people, different situations. And so I think, I try to treat people as I would want to be treated. Someone comes in and, they're starting a business and they just don't know what they need, if they need a logo or just anything. So I think for us, that's our number one. You can go anywhere for prices and print products, but being able to talk to somebody, being able to be treated decently when you're in a situation of not knowing, is what it's all about. And I think that we really excel in that, beyond going on the internet when you don't get to talk to people. So I think a lot of it is just asking questions and being patient and helping them thrive.
Great, well, thank you. Well, staying with the Forbes article, the author, Jerry Stengel, she writes about the media's influence of how women's entrepreneurship is really taking off, and how the portrayal of strong female leaders recently is, especially with them heading up some of the largest corporations in the world, how that has really influenced women, and also it's also shed the light on some of the nasty side of women entrepreneurship and leadership, that there are still discriminatory practices. What do you think about that as far as us moving forward as women? Have you faced any of those issues with being a woman business owner, that you've had people treat you any differently? And what's your advice to people that may face that as they're going along, or even looking to jump into the business?
It's funny because the print industry is predominantly male. There are a couple women that I think work within the print industry, whether it be graphic designers and whatnot, but there's not a lot of ownership in my industry. And when I first started, I really only had one bad experience that kind of just sparked my fire a little bit more. My husband will say, no one says no to Alice or they're going to be in trouble. So, because I'll find a way to get it done if I want to. And I did, when I started, I had called a couple friends and said, well, who do you bank with? And I had a couple recommendations, and so I got dressed up and I had all my paperwork together, and I felt very confident. And I sat down with a gentleman, and he really just treated me like a child. And I thought, well, I have all my paperwork. I dressed nice, I did everything, and I just felt like, wow, no one has ever treated me like. He kind of down talked to me, and when I said, I needed the money in 6 weeks, and he's, oh, honey, we can't do that. And I first thought, I'm not your honey, you don't know me. But, and I eventually found another bank that was really just so nice to me, and we kind of learned through everything, and they were able to fast track a lot of things for me. And the funny story is, about a year later, that same bank, I was subletting my first place that I was at. I had a room within another bigger area that I was renting from, and that same bank was their banker. And they kind of poked their head in and said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Presque Isle Printing." And they told me the bank that they were from, and I just kind of had to giggle. And they said, "Oh, well, we'd love to sit down with you." And I said, "Oh, I bet you would," And so I kind of told them the story, and I said, "I'm never going to leave my bank, because they actually took a chance on me, and didn't make me feel, And I don't know if it was more because I was a woman, or because I was trying to do something that they didn't think was going to make it, and so it was reaffirming to me, like, later on, that they came and wanted to talk to me after the fact, after I was established, and we also have sometimes where customers will come in and they don't know us. They've either have seen a commercial, and so they'll come in and it'll be a man sometimes, and they'll just say, "Well, is the owner here?" And, may I speak to him? And we'll say, "Well, that's me. I'm the owner." And so they kind of just look. And I don't know if it's because of industry standards. It's male-dominated. So there's only been a couple, and I think that our reputation is out there now. And with the Go Ask Alice thing, it kind of lets you know that, I'm a woman and I'm the owner. And so you can kind of, come and talk to me type of thing. But even when I first started in 2008, that was when I always say the world was ending because of the economy and that bubble. And there was a lot of men that were losing their manufacturing jobs. And so the wives were kind of saying, "Well, hey, I can start a cleaning business, or I can start a dog walking business." So there were a lot of women in the year that I started that were coming to me as a woman business owner, feeling more comfortable and starting their own businesses. And a lot of them, 7 years later, we've been in business 7 years, are still up and running to this day. So it's really neat to be able to grow with them when they were small, starting out nervous, and now they're, kind of like me 7 years later and growing with every day. So I see a lot of that happening where the manufacturing part, where the husbands were doing most of that, where the women are kind of saying, "Hey, you know what, I have some skills too, and I enjoy doing this, so I could probably make a living at this." So I see a big trend in that a lot more, as and I think it's more, it's easier for women to get loans than 7 years ago when I was starting. The Small Business Development Center, again, and helps out with starting with business plans and things like that. But I think that there's a lot more funding out there, so it has been a lot easier for women to step into that business owner role.
Yeah. And I always like to throw like pop culture in for the fun of it, but there have been empowering songs because of just women that are doing things that are like the show we call Women Who Work. Katy Perry with Roar, like that's a song I used to pump myself up. And then like Beyonce, Who Run the World, and Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire. Like those are songs that are really empowering. Like, we laugh about it, but they are empowering and really celebrating women and what we're doing, because I think this is an era where we're really seeing women taking over like they've never really done before. And the possibility of having our first female president, we're looking at things that are happening that are groundbreaking. And so I'm glad that you use the negative to really fuel you forward. So anyone out there that may be facing, any type of resistance in their business, particularly being a woman, use this to fuel you to keep moving, as Alice said before, to push forward. Recently, you were featured in the Erie Reader with another small business owner, Chris Sirianni, who was how I found you. And you guys talked about how important it was to invest in the local economy. And so can you speak to that, like why it's so important, and particularly even in our Erie area where we're seeing manufacturing was such a huge thing here, and that's no longer the case. And so small business is now the thing that's really thriving and something that people are really taking a look at and investing in. Can you talk about that?
I always say that, like when you were talking about the small businesses, there has been such a surge of small businesses popping up in Erie, like you said, with the manufacturing. So I said there's the big table legs, the Lord, the GE type, those legs of the Erie table are kind of going away, where all these little legs of small business are supporting Erie now. For me personally, I try to support as much local as I can, not only because the money stays here, but I'm interacting with the people that I see on an everyday basis. A lot of the customers that we have, we use their services as well. Garlax is an example where anytime that there's a small business grand opening or there's an anniversary, I call them and have them send a bouquet of flowers or balloons. And then they use us for the printing services. So it's kind of, Chris Ariani with the brewery is a perfect example. His wife does my hair. I do his printing. I go to his place for dinner and food. So we really kind of just exchange money within the community. It doesn't go out. So, I'm supporting not only him and his business, but his family. His kids' soccer or basketball game. I think all of that is kind of in the circle of Erie, and so it just makes us grow, and it makes us better, and it makes us a tighter community where we can count on each other. If you walk in to a big box store, sometimes you just don't. Who are you supporting? The people that work there, that's great, but that money most of the time goes out of the city. So, and a lot of them don't support local events in town. So if you're needing sponsorship for the McDowell soccer team or their programs, that money is helping support that team. It's helping them grow. So I think the biggest part of supporting local is you're actually supporting the whole community to keep it running as a whole. And even just volunteering. I tell people all the time, the best networking is volunteering. Not only do you get to help your community, get great or clean up or support a team or a nonprofit, but you're also meeting people and you're talking about what you're doing. So by nature, you're introducing yourself and saying, hi, I'm Alice. I'm Presque Isle Printing. What do you do? So you're making more and more connections through keeping everything local, volunteering in your community. It just really helps keep Erie growing.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's great wisdom. In parting words, I just wanted to talk to you really about, being a female entrepreneur is really the theme of this today. But there are some women out there that are still struggling, that, they've tried everything that they possibly can. They're still wondering, what else is there for me to possibly do to break through, especially through the entrepreneurship ceiling. What is your best piece of advice if you give them one thing that they can take away from this entire interview to help them push forward, particularly in the Erie area, because sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
What can you say to them today that they could take away from this?
I just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. If you hit a wall, either go through it or find another way around it. Like I said, when I started, I had no idea what I was doing. I walked into my tax guy and I said, hi, I want to start a business. What do I do? I mean, that's how basic it is. And so, just keep moving forward and research. And, there's 24 hours in a day. So, keep pushing forward as much as you can. You're probably going to lose sleep. You might get some more gray hairs like I do. But it's just a matter of, don't take no for an answer. This is for you. This is where you're going to be if you are believing in it. Just keep moving forward on it.
Great. Thank you so much, Alice. We appreciate having you and all that you do for the community and the wonderful example that you set for women and even for the men out there in the industry. So thank you again so much for joining with us on another episode of Women Who Work. We're going to close with a clip that just talks about women entrepreneurs and why they are so successful. Currently, right now, women account for 30% of business ownership in the United States alone. So we are growing and we are really taking over. Definitely not meaning to be sexist or anything at all, but definitely empowering women to do more, to do better, to strive, to succeed, because our daughters, our granddaughters, and all those behind us are looking at us for examples and role models. And so we challenge you and charge you today to do all that you can to be a woman who is working and can do exceedingly and abundantly out there to make a difference in our community. Have a great day, and thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to talking with you at the next episode.